Hello, everyone. If you didn't see me earlier today, I want to welcome you. My name is Lisa Reichert. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Career and Professional Development Lead on the UC Berkeley People and Organization Development Team. I'm also co-chair of this year's NOW conference with Ying, and I am delighted to be your moderator for this session. And I have the pleasure of welcoming you to Embrace the Future, Transforming Career Exploration and the Job Search with Artificial Intelligence, or AI, presented by Dr. Rowena Winkler. So Dr. Rowena Winkler uses her PhD in communication along with her 15 plus years of experience in marketing and communication to help individuals gain clarity in their jobs, businesses, and lives through more authentic communication. As an award-winning teacher and scholar, Rowena presented at international conferences and mentored hundreds of undergraduate and graduate students. She then made a career pivot from academia to industry, leading communication teams and managing marketing projects. Now, as a career and empowerment coach, Rowena's methods enable clients and students to build confidence, get unstuck, and land their dream careers. Welcome, Rowena. The room is all yours.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate the reminders, the logistics, and yes, no breakout rooms, friends. So don't worry, don't leave. We're going to have a great time despite not having those breakout rooms. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So as Lisa said, I'm Dr. Rowena Winkler, and actually a little note about who I am. Since being accepted to present on AI for you all, I have started a position as the Assistant Director for Graduate Student Career Development at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, also known as UMBC, where at UMBC, we're also embracing the power of AI. And as a career counselor and coach for graduate students at UMBC, I have used AI in the various ways that I will show you today. So just wanted to give you more context as to why I'm so passionate and excited about this topic and how I'm super thrilled to be sharing that with all of you. So if you have any ideas, any questions, as Lisa said, feel free to pop them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as we go, as I definitely want this to be an engaging dialogue and for us to have fun with this. Feather, yes, this is being recorded, so we'll have the recording for y'all after the fact. So before we dive into exactly how we can use AI for career exploration and the job search, I'm going to have Lisa pull up a little poll here, a little Q&A with y'all so I can get a sense of who I'm talking to today. I know there's a big group of y'all. So the first question is, have you ever used ChatGPT? The second question is, what did you use ChatGPT for? And then have you used ChatGPT for the job market? So the answers are coming in fast and furious. We love to see it. And then I'll be sure to share the final poll as we get to the end of this. So they're coming in great. Thank you so much for sharing your insights so that I get a sense of where you all are at when it comes to ChatGPT, as that's the AI I'll be primarily talking about today. All right. Keep them coming. We almost got 100%. I'd love to see 100%. Shouldn't take that long just to click on a few buttons here. We're currently at 83% participating. We're so close. Come on, friends. Get in there. And it's anonymous, by the way. So there's going to be no judgment whatsoever as you complete this poll. We're slowing down a little bit. Going to give a couple more seconds there. All right. Getting close. Let me know if you're having any problems or issues with the poll as well, so that we have our tech support here. All right, we're at 90%. So I think that that's good. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and share the results, Lisa, if you haven't already. So we're about a good, in terms of have we ever used ChatGPT, we're at a good split here. So 34% of you have said yes very often. So you're all about it. 32% of you are just once or twice, so like, tipping your toe in the water a little bit there. And 34% are no idea how to use it, never used it before. So you're coming in blank slate, have no idea. So we'll see if we can be able to share the folks that have used it several times something new, and then our new folks getting you a bit of a primer on how we can use ChatGPT for career exploration in the job search. What did you use ChatGPT for? So the majority of folks have used it as a blend for personal and professional use. That's great. I do the same actually. So that would be my response there. 33% of you don't use ChatGPT. So it's that same folks that have no idea to use it, haven't used it, don't know how to use it. And then 14 and 15%, personal versus professional. So we got a good blend there. And then absolute, wow, overwhelmingly, 74% of folks have not used ChatGPT for the job market. So hopefully that means that what we're going to be going over today is brand new to you, something that you may have not explored or have gone over before, and that you'll come away with some good tips and tricks on how to use it for the job market specifically. 16% said yes, was helpful. 10% said yes, and it was okay. Reve says Gemini is greater than ChatGPT. Yeah, there are definitely pros and cons to using the various AI systems when it comes to this work. I will say that a lot of things that ChatGPT didn't have in its earlier versions now has in its most recent version, and we'll talk about that. But obviously, use whatever AI system that makes the most sense for you. There are also various AI tools and systems based on the type of information that you're looking for, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But I really appreciate that insight. Okay, so that's what we're looking at in terms of the landscape of folks here. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what AI is, what generative AI is. So generative AI is algorithms like ChatGPT that's used to create new content, including audio, code, images, text, simulations, and videos. So like as someone mentioned, as Reve mentioned, the Google Gemini, that's one version of it. Another generative AI, Meta has their own AI now as well that can produce images. So you can create content through the algorithms that make up generative AI. And just to give you a sense of the sheer power or the trend or the how ChatGPT has taken off in particular, it took ChatGPT 5 days to surpass 1 million users. Like, holy moly, that's a lot in a short period of time. So it just goes to show that we're all interested. We're getting on my friends here in the poll that haven't used it yet, then you're next, right? We're hopefully that during this you can follow along. And I encourage folks to pull up ChatGPT, sign up for an account if they don't have one already, so that you can follow along when we go through some of the examples and the demos. And again, if you have an idea or you have a use case that comes up, keep an eye out, because I'll be calling on some folks we'll do some demos alongside with you. But first, let's talk about the pros. Like, why do we care? Why is it great? What are the pros of generative AI? So when we talk about brainstorming, right? So let's say that you're trying to determine an idea for a particular project or for a particular piece of work or writing or that nature. ChatGPT is a great way to brainstorm ideas, to give you a bit of a roadmap in terms of how you can develop an idea or something that you're working on. Drafting is great too. ChatGPT is a wonderful way to get first drafts developed. So for example, with my students at UMBC, we've talked about using ChatGPT in drafting, cold LinkedIn messages for alumni of the university to get an informational interview, or drafting, for example, a thank you letter to someone that you've interviewed with, right? So it's good to have that draft. Again, I'm not proposing that you just copy and paste what's in ChatGPT and send it off as is, because it needs to have your voice. Sometimes it doesn't know like your writing style, that sort of thing, but it's a great way to start that first draft. If you're looking to retrieve information, especially in the newest version of ChatGPT, It's a great way to retrieve information with citations and sources, right? I'm going to show you an example of another generative AI tool that can be used for citations and for retrieving information, but it's a great way to get that information. You can even search for something really quick. Let's say that I think, for example, I was with my husband and we had a song in our head. It was very random. It was a song from a Broadway show and we didn't know what it was. And I used ChatGPT and I was able to locate what that song was, right? So retrieving information is there. And then learning, right? So if you're trying to learn about a particular industry, let's say that you're on the job market and you're making a career pivot and you want to know more about a particular industry or a particular type of job role, that's a way that you can use generative AI there, is you can learn more about specific things. So those are the pros. Of course, we have to talk about the risks as well, right? We're not just going to be Pollyanna about it. There are some risks to generative AI. You'll see in the slides here that you should have access to, that there are links to all the sources that I've used so that you can look at them at your disposal. Plagiarism, obviously, generative AI, ChatGPT, they all are scouring the internet, scouring all the various information places to get that information. So that's why when you are drafting, it's it's a draft, because there could be a risk of plagiarism if you are just copy and pasting things willy-nilly. So being able to contend with that, right? Misinformation. ChatGPT can have what are called hallucinations, right? Where they don't have the proper information. So it's just coming up with this random stuff that makes no sense. Now, in the latest version of ChatGPT, there has been a reduced, use of hallucinations because there are citations and sources if you ask for them. But you never know, right? You can get misinformation about something, and especially if you're using it in the context of the job market or career exploration, really good to know that you're having the right, proper, accurate information. And then copyright concerns are another risk that we contend with, right? I know that this has come up in the instance of images. When folks were using AI for various images, there were some concerns with using copyrighted work or work from other artists, just making sure that you are, dotting your I's and crossing your T's when it comes to that, and making sure you know the source of that information. So those are some of the risks. Now, when it comes to ChatGPT, and these are for an AI, these are for the folks out there that have never used it before, and this could also be a nice reminder to folks that have used it frequently. Prompt engineering is key. It's the key to success with using generative AI because it allows you to create, to engineer prompts that effectively instruct ChatGPT to create the preferred outputs. So, the saying is garbage in, garbage out. If you're putting garbage in regards to the prompt that you are using for ChatGPT, then you're going to get the garbage is going to come out, right? So you want to have an effective prompt. You want to have something that's clear and that makes sense, and it's very it gives you exactly what you're looking for. And I'll show you, a formula for prompt engineering in just a second, right? It having that prompt that's clear and able to get you exactly what you need is key. And again, we're going to go into some demos in just a little bit, so you'll get to see what that means in terms of prompt engineering. So in terms of generating prompts, some two formulas that can be used when creating a prompt for AI. The first one is role, task, and format. So you're telling the AI, you are a software engineer or you are a career counselor. You are telling the generative AI tool what their role is. Then you're going to task them, right? So you're going to task the AI by saying, you are a career counselor. Please let me know of 10 different career paths that I could use as a communication and marketing professional. Please display them as a table, right? So looking at the task that you're asking the AI to do and then giving the format, right? So what's the format? Do you want it in the form of a table? Do you want it in the form of a list? Do you want it in the, sky's the limit, right? How do you want that to be formatted? Another way to generate a prompt is by giving context, right? I am UC Berkeley student studying economics. I am looking to go into a career uh, internationally, right? So giving context to what that is, and then what the task for the AI is, and the format is. Hopefully that makes sense. Feel free to pop in the chat or in the Q&A if you have any questions about that. But those are two ways that you can ensure that your prompts are clear and make sense to the AI. Because the fact of the matter is the AI's got a wealth of information, right? It has a lot up its sleeve, but without giving the proper prompt in terms of what we're looking for, again, that garbage in, garbage out, we're not going to be able to have it there, right? This image here is through thejobinsiders.com. I'm going to show you another resource from them in just a little bit, but here they use the mnemonic device GPT, right? So generic is starting with the right tool. So ChatGPT for speed, Bard for live search, Perplexity for citations. I'll show you Perplexity in just a little bit. So knowing what the right tool is to get that prompt. P is the prompt, right? So as I mentioned, garbage in, garbage out. Always provide context, what the role is, have specific goals, specific tasks, that sort of thing. And then talk, right? So that's the beauty of AI tools like ChatGPT. You can have a conversation with the AI tool, right? So it's not just a static Google search. It's being able to talk to the AI, and maybe you don't like the output, how it's presented. Okay, well then you can say, please revise this and say it in this way, right? You can talk to the tool to be able to do that. So prompts are key. Okay, now we're going to get to our little live demo situation here, where I will show different ways to explore careers, and then I'll open the floor if anyone has a specific instance or scenario that they want to share. We can do it as well. Feel free to also pop in the chat if you have something that you want to go over as well, and I can do a live demo using ChatGPT up here. But this one is for exploring a career path, right? So you'll see here in this example, give me 10 potential careers I can go into based on my interests in teaching, learning new things, and science. And to be fair, that probably could be even better in terms of a prompt, right? Like you could get even more specific in terms of what your interests are and what you want to go into, with a brief description of what the career entails. So if you are in a place where you're working with students, or your family, friends, whatever, if anyone is in the point of their career where they're just exploring, where they're trying to figure out if they want to go to a different career path, or want to go to their first career path, right? Being able to use ChatGPT to explore potential careers is one way that you can use the AI. Now I'm gonna pop, here's the look in the chat here. Does anyone have a specific career path that they're looking to go into, or they want to learn about? Feel free to pop in chat, or feel free to raise your hand and we can do a live demo. Oh, okay. Satari, you're first. You popped up first here. Data science and machine learning. That's so funny because that is in graphic design. Okay, let's see if we might have time for two. Oh boy, here comes everybody. All right. Well, we're gonna go with Satari because you went first. If you're out there, feel free to unmute yourself and say hello, and we're gonna do a live demo.
Hello, I'm so glad you picked
Hi.
that. Thank you.
No problem. So you're interested in data science and machine learning. What other interests do you have?
Engineering.
Career. Using data science,
I'm very analytical, so
machine learning. Okay, machine learning, and you said engineering?
yes.
I am very analytical as well. Show me, let's see, 10 career path I could take with descriptions. All right, let's see how this goes. Okay. Data scientist, machine learning engineer, data engineer. a BI analyst, an AI research, oh, look, AI research scientist, quantitative analyst, data analyst, data architect, software engineer, and operations research analyst. So you'll see here that it not only gave the specific roles, but it also talks about the skills that you would be needing, right? So do you know Python? Do you know R? Do you know data visualization? And the various industries too that you could go into based off, let's just go off of this first one, data scientist. Are any of these industries, are they of interest to you?
The first three.
So finance, healthcare, and technology?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Can you expand on number one? Oops, I mean.
Also, Rowena, there was a question. Are you using the free version of ChatGPT?
I am, because everyone right now that uses the free version has access to ChatGPT 4.0.
Great, thanks.
Oh, and technology. I got two. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Let's see what we have here. So you see now it's going even deeper into the role within each industry here. So you can see exactly what your role and responsibilities are. If you're a data scientist in finance, the skills that are needed, who does the employment for them, healthcare. So data scientists in healthcare, same thing, right? Role and responsibilities, skills needed, and technology as well. So do you find that information helpful?
Yes. And actually, I did not know about the AR research analyst path.
Oh, well, there you go. Well,
So
now you
something
can,
new.
yeah, actually, let me hold on a second. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to send, let me see if Lisa, I can do this. I'm going to send a direct message to you. There it is with the information. Oh, message is too long. Just kidding. Why don't you, my contact information is going to be at the end of this on the last slide. Why don't you shoot me an email and I'll make sure to save this for you and I can send it to you if you want.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. So you see, folks, just through two prompts here, we were able to get a sense of 10 different career paths. And then once we had a sense of, okay, let's explore this number one, the data scientist, able to drill down even further when it comes to roles and responsibilities and different skill sets that are used, etc. I'm seeing some questions pull up here. Let me just go back to the chat. Da, da, da. Okay, yeah, confident. Yeah, how confident am I in the results? Well, I mean, as with anything, right? We need to do our due diligence and take things with a grain of salt. To that end, to that question, we could ask for citations. So it'll search there. And you'll see there the citations show up. So yeah, you can do your due diligence, ask for citations to ensure that, and then look into those various, because, you know, again, it's scaring the internet. So looking into the various looking into the various sites. So I'm going to look up Career Foundry. I'm going to look into Data Rundown so that you can see if it's a good result, solid result. What's the difference for using paid ChatGPT? The paid version you can do, well, actually 4.0 now does images, because the paid version used to be able to images. I believe you're able to input more data. So for example, if you're inputting like block text of like a resume or something like that, the paid version is able to handle more of that data. I think that's one of the differences there. Yes, and even in the free version, it does remember what you say. So it is personalized. So you can save all of your different prompts and queries, and it'll save it for you and it'll remember. Daniela, what sources? So as I just showed here, you can ask ChatGPT what sources. Can ChatGPT generate job posting links to apply? Oh, that's a great question, Monica. Let's actually see. Are there job openings in... Okay, let's see. That's a good question, Monica. Well, there we go. Okay. So current job openings for data scientists in finance, healthcare, and technology. Finance, healthcare, and technology. So they have, so not all of them. So only Amazon has a link with it. So I guess you would have to just look that up. Okay. So many questions. It's great. What was the second prompt, Teresa? It was, the second prompt was, not that one. Can you expand on number one? So again, it already learned what I asked, which was number one was the data scientist role, especially when it comes to finance, healthcare, and technology. So that was the second prompt. You mentioned copy and pasting block text. Is there a separate tool that's better for proofreading resumes or cover letters? Statement of purpose. I mean, so ChatGPT can use can receive resumes, cover letters. It definitely can. And actually some of the examples I'll show in just a little bit go into that. So we can go into that. So what I mean is like books, like tons and tons and tons of data. A cover letter or a resume, totally fine. And I can show you in just a little bit how that goes. To use just one word to describe what I'm referencing to or include synonyms. List only jobs. That's a really great question, Rich. So when it comes to synonyms, I don't think you need to list all of them because when it comes to the screening, like when it comes to the algorithm, it is going to be familiar with variants and synonyms, right? So you should be able to just list fully remote. You don't need to say virtual. If for some reason the output that it puts out doesn't make any sense and is not fully remote, then you could then include and please revise, but include virtual as well. But I don't think you're going to need to have to reprompt it for that. Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's move on. That was great. Thank you, Esatari, for your participation, and thank you all for the wonderful questions so far. And this is we only just did the first one, so let's see what we got next here. Okay, so similarly, right, we can learn about particular job roles. So let's say that you are starting out in your career or you're doing a career pivot and you want to know what you're getting into, right? What are some of the things that you need to get into when it comes to a particular job role? So here you'll see this is where I use the role task format formula for it because I say you are an expert in software engineering. So I am giving ChatGPT the role that they're an expert in software engineering. Please list the top 5 challenges and the top 5 responsibilities tied to the software engineer role. So you'll see that you can learn more. And I don't have, and we can, see if there's someone out there who wants to play with this one. But if you're learning, you want to know about a different role, you can learn about not just what are the great things that you're doing in the role, but also what are some of the challenges. Evelyn just used ChatGPT to help you come up with a prompt to ask it. There you go. That's so meta, right? Yeah, using ChatGPT to help with the prompt. So is there anyone out there who, and we'll go again with the first one that pops in, who is looking to learn more about a particular role that we can show this particular use of ChatGPT in real time? And if not, we have other examples to come. So if this isn't of interest to any friends out there, then that is totally fine. we can just move on to the next one. Daniela, you sent me a message directly. Let me double check. Okay. 5 potential. Okay. Okay, Daniela, why don't you unmute?
Yeah.
Where are you? Hi,
Yeah.
how are you?
Hi. I'm
So
good. How are you?
I'm good. So thank you for writing such a very streamlined and very thorough prompt. Let me just paste it in here. So you're looking for master's programs to go into?
Yes. I have been like back and forth with what masters do I want for I think years now. And so I just decided I'm applying right now to the teaching credential program at UC Merced. But
Okay.
there's so many things, different interests I have, and overall I just enjoy giving back to my community, but I don't think teaching is the only way to do that anymore. Like there's so many
Yeah.
ways.
I don't think so as well either. So I think that's yeah, let's see. So I copied and pasted your prompt here that you sent over via DM. So let's just see what comes up here. Okay, so Master of Public Administration, Master of Social Work, so education, so that's who you're talking about, Master of Public Health, Master of Science, and Data Science. So do any of these sound of interest? Were any of them ones you were looking at, or like what were you looking at primarily?
So this is funny, but I actually had used this prompt before in chat
Yeah.
before, and almost all of the same things came up except for the bottom one, the data science one. That was new. I have not seen that one before, the Masters of Science in Data
Yeah.
Science for Social Good.
Yeah.
Um, I like the public administration one though. I think it's transferable to a lot of fields.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's interesting that it came up as number one for you, if that's something of interest for you. The way that I would probably go even further with this is then asking ChatGPT to look at your LinkedIn or your resume and see like if there's any best fit for a specific type of program. So looking at what you've done and seeing if there's a master's program based off of your resume or your LinkedIn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. That little clip right there at the bottom, is that to
Yeah.
like paste your
It's
stuff?
for it's to upload files.
Oh, sounds
So this
good.
yeah, so this is also new for ChatGPT 4.0. You can connect your Google Drive or OneDrive, or you can upload any file. So let's say that you have, yeah, maybe it's a PDF version of your resume or something. You can upload it and have ChatGPT scan it and see if that information would translate to any of these master's programs that have been. And actually, I was wondering, I wonder since I'm still in the same window, like I didn't start a new chat for this, if the data science one came up because we were just talking about data science with our last example.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think, hold on a second. Oh, yay, Dr. Amari. Yeah, MPA grad. Look, you have Daniela, you have, look, if anything, you can network with all these folks here that have MPAs and you can do informational interviews with them and see if that's a good program for you in order to do good in your community. So there you go. All right, let's see. Let's just look up the chat real quick. Professional basketball player. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so let's remember the prompt. So, I say you're an MBA expert. Okay, let's see. You are an MBA. List the top 5 challenges and top 5 responsibilities that go into You got some emojis for that. So, Renaya, as well. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, physical demands, mental pressure, media scrutiny, travel and time management, team dynamics. Responsibilities, game performance, training and conditioning, team collaboration, community engagement, professional conduct. Okay. I mean, that seems pretty legit. Renee, you probably know more about, so it's your recommendation. You probably know more about basketball than I do. It's been a minute since I followed the NBA, so I wonder if that works out. Okay. Could you feed ChatGPT your resume and ask it for recommendations for career trajectories? Evelyn, yes, you can definitely do that. What about more psychological questions? Like, how can I stay happy while working in a job that isn't my ideal? Or that's a really great question. You can definitely ask more questions to that regard, but I would probably be a little more specific in the prompt with that. So why isn't the job ideal, right? How can I stay happy while working in a job that isn't my ideal because of XYZ? So maybe giving more insight into, and actually, I think on one of my future slides, I talk about that a little bit more, where you're working with, you prompt ChatGPT to be your career coach and kind of act more in that psychological sense. But yes. How does it rank? I'm not sure if it's not really, I don't think it's a ranking order. I just say list. So I'm not sure if it's in any ranking order per se, Christina. So I think it's just because the format that I ask for it to be in is in a listing form. You could also ask for it to output as a table. So that's another way you can go about it. ChatGPT, yes. ChatGPT, you can copy and paste your LinkedIn or your resume in there. All right, we got is ChatGPT secure? I mean, so when it comes to security, one way that you can go about it is, let's see here, I'm trying to. So if you go in your settings and you go in your data controls, oh no, which one is it? Security, just kidding. No, where is it? Hold on. There is a way to, it's this one. It's the improve the model for everyone. So if you click that off, then all that the data that you give ChatGPT just stays with you, right? It's not going to go anywhere. So if you're looking for additional security, you can just toggle that off, and you won't be able to improve the models for everyone, which means that it takes the data that you're putting in there. Let's see. Okay. Danielle, I'm glad that you got some good folks to. Do you recommend removing your name? Do you recommend removing your name and other personal info if you upload a resume? Again, Robert, that really is dependent on your comfortability with it. Again, if you want to toggle off that setting so it's not, being used, and you just want to use it for yourself, then that's fine. I know that I personally have uploaded resumes in there that has my information, and it's fine as far as I know. Okay. Very concerned about privacy. Yeah. Yeah, Rich. No, it's a really great question. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, right? That these tools have is just, and privacy concerns is definitely a risk that comes into using these tools. So again, it's using security settings as I showed there, by not having your data for anyone, just for yourself. You can also do things like, deleting your output, that sort of thing. Though that really doesn't do too much, but I think for you it's a personal decision, right? So when you're looking at privacy and seeing where your data is going, especially because for ChatGPT you have to sign in, right? So you have to create like a tag, connect it to your Google account or something like that. It's just a matter of a personal choice whether or not you feel comfortable with the possibility of sharing some data, but doing your due diligence to, keeping it private as much as possible. So there's no really like hard or fast with it. It really is your personal preference as to whether or not the benefit of what ChatGPT can offer in terms of what I've showed so far outweighs the cost of potentially, that privacy concern. But at the end of the day, I think these tools that's an understandable concern, and so they're doing their best to come up with these new versions that are more secure. Oh, good. I'm glad that the basketball player was accurate. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through the chat. Can ChatGPT review applications for a job? I would say sure. What that kind of simulates is like applicant tracking systems, or ATS, which is software that's used to scan applications. It would depend on how many applications you have. As I mentioned, especially the free version of ChatGPT, there is a limit in terms of how much data you can pump into it. So if you have like hundreds and hundreds of applications, probably not the best. But I'm sure you can upload a couple of applications on there and have ChatGPT scan and pull the best candidates based on some sort of criteria. Okay. I'm having a basketball chat. Yeah, Kashmir, I know. uh So Gina, for your LinkedIn, what you can do is and I can show you, and these are all great questions, y'all. You can literally just do one of these and just go down. I mean, it seems kind of janky, but it works, and I've used it, and I think we have a LinkedIn example coming up, but like literally just going down the line and just, okay, maybe we don't need all of that, but just copy and pasting that way. You could probably use the hyperlink, though it's just easier when it has that data there. You're welcome, Gina. Okay. That's job roles. Let's see. Okay. So this is interesting. When I submitted this presentation, uh ChatGPT was not able to do recent company research things. Like it because the data was like from 2022 or something like that. Like it was old. But now in the newer 4.0 version, we can actually conduct company research. But if you're looking for another AI tool to use, Copilot, Microsoft Copilot is another AI tool that, gives examples to tell me the latest news of Google. It does do that, and it has citations. But now that ChatGPT is in a newer version, you can. Oh my gosh, why can't I type? With citations. So now with ChatGPT, you can see it searching the web. And so now it has, so if you're on the job market and you're looking for information about a certain company and you want to know more about what they've been up to, so now, and it has the sites there, right? So there you go. So now you can do that. So that was another way that you can do research. And then again, as I mentioned, when I first built this presentation, ChatGPT didn't have the capability, but now it does. But you can conduct cited company research. So let's say that you want to do research on a particular organization in advance for an interview, you can then conduct cited company research. So now we can do it here, same thing. Tell me about the history of Amazon with citations. Now ChatGPT is able to do that. So you'll see it's doing the history of Amazon there. Colette, sorry. Let's have this. And I shouldn't have, Amazon's got a long history, so well, there you go. Oh, and they have references. Ta-da. Okay. So Colette, how do you know you're in the latest version of, oh, that's wonderful, Colette. You asked ChatGPT and you're in the latest version. That's great. I was just about to give you the, yeah, but if for other folks, so some folks, I don't have it here, but some folks have the listing of the different models here, and you can, it'll say like 3.5, 4.0, or 4, right? You can check it there. Another way to know whether or not you're using the latest version is by looking at this, by clicking on this star looking thing here, and it shows that I'm in the latest version of 4.0, right? So that's another way. Does ChatGPT have the ability to record or take notes in meetings? I'm not sure. What you could do is you can use something like Otter AI to transcribe. I don't know about ChatGPT, but I know Otter AI is a site that I've used personally for meeting notes. And what's really great is that they do a summary and everything like that. Yeah, so it could be the paid version, Kashmir. What about the oh, AI companion on Zoom does too. Thanks, Catherine. What about if you need information that's not Googleable? For example, if you want to see a copy of the strategic plan for a unit. Oh. If you need information that's not Googleable, I mean, you could try to see that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You'd have to, I mean, it's not just Googleable information. Sonia, why don't you unmute and give more context to what you mean by your question?
Hi, thank you.
Hi, you're welcome, Sonia.
This question comes because in my unit, we have a new director, and um, she is putting together a new strategic plan. And one of the things that I have watched her um, need and ask us for, feedback on is to figure out how other units similar to our unit have gone about, developing a new mission or a new vision or and um so and it's not just within UC. For example, we're a research unit and our work is very similar, for example, to the Smithsonian.
Gotcha.
And so would there be a way for us to see how they have defined their goals similar to ours? But it's not like something that they would necessarily put it on their website, right? But
Right,
the
right.
information is somewhere. Another example would be, for example, how they define their research associates, like people that they have accepted from other institutions as associates, and what requirements are they asking for? Because we are trying to figure out what we should ask for if we're offering research associateship to colleagues from other institutions to our unit. So kind of learning from other people who have done this work, but learning about things that are not necessarily are put up on people's websites.
Yeah, so what I think the second, so the second one maybe would be like what are the expectations for research associates in what capacity?
For
See what could be a
example,
prompt.
right. For example, research associate, the definition of a research associate provided by UC Berkeley is a definition. So if we go in the HR website or whatever, we can actually Google that and see what that is. But if we were to search for the same thing for the Smithsonian, for example, it's not something that they have on their website, but we know that our colleagues are research associates at the Smithsonian. So we know they have a research associateship, but we can't find how they define it and what their expectations are.
I'm just curious. So some things are coming through. Uh-oh, I reached my limit.
Actually, that was my next question because I continue, on a daily basis, I get to my limit really quickly and then I don't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just hit my limit, it looks like. So, there you go. We'll see. Oh, maybe if I do a new chat, something will happen. Okay. But it looked like I was able to see something come through and there were citations with it. So maybe it's just using that as a first go and then digging from there to see if you could get the information that you need.
Thank you. I think this was an example of me not knowing exactly what prompt to use. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome very much. Okay. Let's keep going and see if I can still do things because it looked like I hit a limit, but who knows? We'll see. Oh, actually, this isn't even a ChatGPT. This was built by the Job Insiders and it's called CareerBot 3000. And I have in the next tab here. And also, if you look at the presentation that is linked to this session, you'll see that it was just a Google spreadsheet. Well, for the purpose of today, I re-uploaded the image of the new version. So this is CareerBot 3000 version 2. And what's really cool is that so I copied and pasted my resume here. So I put my resume in here. If I look at my top 3 job priorities. So number 1 is probably going to be work-life balance. Number 2 is culture fit. And number 3 is, we'll just put compensation because I can't think of anything else. So then you click play here. I'll have to sign in with credentials, it looks like. So it looks like I tried to sign in to CareerBot as I was trying to reboot everything up and it was asking for other things. But essentially, you copy and paste your resume here, you ask your top 3 job priorities. It gives you the top 10 job titles. And then you can type in here which job title is most interesting to you. And then it'll give you the top 20 employers, keywords, resume advice, interview advice, and even like career coaching, from a bot. So it's just all automated here. I'm sad that I wasn't able to sign it in because I wanted to show you guys in real time, but in the slides, you have the link here. You can sign up for it yourself and you can play with it. And feel free to let me know, like let's reconnect on LinkedIn or what have you so that let me know what you think about it. Okay. Let's see. Is there a trick to adding a resume and job description and having it update the resume and perhaps cover letter? Yes. So that's one of my next slides. We're running low on, not too short on time, but I want to make sure we get through all these slides so you can see all the different ways you can use it. So Christina, to your point, you can revise resume content using ChatGPT. So what you could do is, and we'll get to your question about the job description too, because you can do that as well. So you could have ChatGPT help you revise resume content. So for example here, evaluate and expand on this bullet point, right? So if you have a bullet point on your resume that you feel like, it's not doing it, it's not really like giving the results that I need in terms of the job market. How can I amp it up a little bit, right? So you can see here in this example, being able to give examples of how you could rewrite. And then I say here, provide ways I could rewrite this. So again, it's all about that prompt engineering. So I give the ChatGPT, the AI, the way that the bullet point is currently structured. And then I ask for ways to enhance or expand on the resume bullet point. So you could do that for specific pieces of content. Now, to Christina's question, oh, that's LinkedIn content. We're getting there, Christina. We're getting there. Yeah, that's coming up next. So before we move into that, let's look at LinkedIn. Now, I told you that we could upload it. I know someone mentioned that you could upload a PDF of your profile. Thank you for that. You could probably also drop in your LinkedIn URL to look at content. So for this one, I dropped in the about section of my LinkedIn. So you could have ChatGPT help you enhance your LinkedIn about section? And then it said here, by gearing it toward my work in career services, right? So you can prompt it to enhance it for a certain role or position or way that you are going, a way that you have gone in your career. And ChatGPT will help revise that for you there. So again, you could have ChatGPT enhance your LinkedIn in the whole way, in the about section way, the summary, right? The ways that you want it to revise that. Now, going to Christina's question, we can use what's known as variables. So for ChatGPT, the way you use variables is through the squiggly bracket, right? So as you see here, you have the squiggly bracket, which is how you can use variables in order to input that information. So for Christina's question, you could say, I would like to apply for squiggly bracket job description using, as you see here, squiggly bracket resume. And so you would list the top 3 accomplishments. So it says here, list the top 3 accomplishments I could highlight in my cover letter. So then you could say, list the information, Christina, that you would want, that list the areas of my resume to update and accomplishments to list in the cover letter, right? So that's a way that you could use that. And then when you do your squiggly brackets, then you put that in and then you paste the job. Then you do that again, squiggly brackets resume, paste the resume. So you could input that squiggly bracket. It's this guy. Let me put it in the chat here. And it's in the slides too. Job description. So it's that. So it's not the parentheses, it's a squiggly bracket. I don't know if that's like the actual name for it, but yeah. But that's a way that you can, if you input the job description, input your resume, you can ask for it to enhance your resume, or, when we talked about ATS or applied applicant tracking systems, you could say, what are the keywords to put in my resume, or how can I enhance my resume using the keywords of the job description? Or, how can I highlight my accomplishments in a cover letter? So I hope that makes sense, Christina, and others that have any questions about that. So we have that. And speaking of ATS, you can call out keywords, as I just mentioned, right? So put in that job description again and call out the top 10 or top 15 keywords that I then could put into my resume, right? So if you're on the job market and you're applying for organizations that have an ATS or applicant tracking system, you can use ChatGPT to help you call out the keywords that then you could insert. And again, I'm not proposing keyword stuffing, but you can revise your resume so that it has those keywords. The bullet points in that last example. Wait a second. Let me go back. No, these are, Daniela, this is the job description. So this is the responsibilities in the job description. So yes, that's still part of the prompt. You're welcome. Okay. Oh, and here's the question that Ore had about more of the psychological aspect of things. So for professional development, you could choose ChatGPT and say, you're my career coach, and I would like you to help me understand my strengths and weaknesses based on my squiggly brackets resume. Or, you're a career coach, and I am currently unhappy with my job because of XYZ. So you can use it, and you can even say, please be kind in your response. You can tell ChatGPT how to respond. Please share as, in a kind and loving way. You can have that in there. Yeah. So that's an example of that. And then just a couple of minutes left. I know we have here, you can do it for interviewing. So based on this squiggly bracket job description, please share 10 potential questions that could be asked in an interview. So based on the job description, you could get the interview questions that may be asked ahead of time so that you can properly prepare for the interview. Could a link go into the squiggly brackets? You could say for the job description, yes, the job description could be a squiggly bracket. So it wouldn't be the squiggly bracket itself. It would be job description, and then the job description be equals, and then you could put the URL of the job description. But do you upload the resume before asking? You would upload the resume or copy and paste the resume after the squiggly bracket one, Monica. Yeah. And then for you asking questions, you're interviewing for squiggly bracket job description. Based on the description, what are the 5 questions? Because you want to be prepared, right? What are the 5 strategic questions to be asked at the end of the interview? So what do you want to ask at the end of the interview? Here's a plug for LinkedIn interview. So if you go to LinkedIn jobs, to your left side, there's LinkedIn interview prep, and you can record yourself answering questions, and they do AI to give you feedback in real time. Yep, no, you wouldn't put the job description in the squiggly bracket. You would do job description equals then the job description. Yeah, so that would be it. Final takeaways, y'all. AI is here to stay. So again, we had a lot of conversations about privacy, about, the sheer data, about, it's not going away. It's here to stay. AI will never replicate the human touch. So again, having networking, engaging as you all had when I had my tech blip here, doing what you're doing, y'all. You're doing great. It doesn't replicate the human touch. You still want that human connection. And then AI is just a tool, right? It's just a tool in our toolbox. We're not relying it for everything. It's not going to do everything for us. We all have to come forward as our authentic, competent, amazing, beautiful selves as we are, and, just use that AI as a tool. I'm sorry that I had to rush through those last couple examples, but we had some really great demos in the beginning there. This has been really a pleasure. As I mentioned, I work for UMBC. I work in grad student career development. Here is my email address. If we did a demo today and you want the output, feel free to email me and I will send it over to you. And then let's hang out on LinkedIn. And hopefully, there won't be any other tech fails for the rest of today's conference. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you again soon. Thank you so much.